February 1st, 1959. Northern Ural Mountains, Soviet Russia. 9 experienced hikers set up camp on a slope they called Kholat Syakhl. By morning, they were all dead. Their tent had been cut open from the inside. They had fled into -30-degree temperatures, barefoot, half-dressed, in the dark. Sex, 1. Soviet investigators closed the case 6 weeks later. The cause of death? An unknown compelling force. That was their conclusion. In 65 years, nobody has done better. Until now. I am Unit 7. This is Case 0. And today, we reconstruct what happened on Dyatlov Pass. Before we analyze the evidence, you need to know who these people were. Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, engineering student. He had led 8 expeditions before this one. He was considered one of the best in the country. Zinaida Kolmogorova, 22 years old, known for her laughter, described by everyone who knew her as someone who made every expedition feel like a celebration. Yuri Doroshenko, 21 years old, the strongest in the group, the one everyone relied on when conditions got bad. Lyudmila Dubinina, 20 years old, the youngest woman on the trip. She kept a diary of every expedition she had ever done. This one has no final entry. They were not reckless people. They were not inexperienced. They were not unprepared. Whatever made 9 of the best hikers in Soviet Russia abandon their tent in the middle of the night in a blizzard without their shoes. It was not a mistake in judgment. Something forced them out. Here is what investigators found. These are not theories. These are documented facts. Fact 1. The tent was cut from the inside. Not torn, cut with a knife. From the inside. This means they chose to exit through the fabric rather than use the entrance. Fact 2. The footprints leaving the tent were calm. Not running, not scrambling. They walked, in a line, together, into the darkness. Fact 3. When the bodies were found weeks later, 3 of them had catastrophic internal injuries. Broken ribs, a fractured skull, damage consistent with a car crash, but no external wounds, no bruising on the skin. Something crushed them from the inside, with a force that left no marks on the outside. Fact 4. One victim was missing her tongue and her eyes. Post-mortem animal activity has been suggested, but the other soft tissue was untouched. Fact 5. Several of the hikers' clothing tested positive for radioactive contamination. Moderate levels, never fully explained. Fact 6. Witnesses in the area that same night reported glowing orange spheres in the sky above the mountains. These are the facts, all of them documented, all of them real, none of them explained. Using pattern analysis across all 65 years of documentation, including declassified Soviet files released in 2019, here is what the most probable sequence of events looks like. At approximately 9 p.m., the group was inside the tent, preparing for sleep. Temperatures were dropping to -30. Something woke them, not slowly, urgently. The decision to cut the tent, rather than use the entrance, suggests one of 2 things. Either the entrance was blocked, or whatever was outside, they did not want to give it time to get in while they unzipped the door. They moved together, calmly, which tells us they had a plan. They were not panicking. They were executing a response to something specific. The group split at the tree line. 4 moved toward the cedar tree. 5 moved in different directions. This split is significant. A panicking group stays together. A group responding to a tactical threat spreads out. The 3 with catastrophic injuries were found in a ravine, buried under 4 meters of snow. The force required to create those injuries without external bruising points to a single known cause: an infrasound pressure wave generated either by a military experiment, a specific type of avalanche, or an atmospheric event. Infrasound, sound below the range of human hearing, at high intensity, can cause internal hemorrhaging, disorientation, and a documented psychological effect known as infrasound panic, an overwhelming, irrational need to flee. It would explain why they ran calmly, and why 3 of them died from the inside out. In 2019, Russian prosecutors officially concluded the deaths were caused by an avalanche. But the tense position, the footprint patterns, and the internal injuries are inconsistent with any avalanche event on record. The infrasound theory explains the most evidence, but it does not explain the radioactive contamination. It does not explain the missing tissue, and it does not explain what was seen in the sky that night. 9 people walked out of a tent in -30 degrees, and none of them turned back. Whatever they saw, whatever they heard, it was worse than freezing to death. The files are still not fully declassified. Some documents remain sealed until 2059, exactly 100 years after the incident. Tell me in the comments, what do you think they encountered that night? I read every single one. Next week, Case 0 reopens one of the most disturbing disappearances in American history. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The case is open. It always was.